Okay, this was a question from the recent sermon where the disciples couldn't cast out the demons. And so it's actually a question about translations and variations in the translations. It says this, my question, in Mark 9:29, the version we used Sunday omitted the word fasting at the end. In the King James Version and the New King James Version and others, it includes fasting. Why? And then the quote there, and he said unto them, this kind can come forth by nothing but prayer and fasting. Now, this is part of what is called textual criticism. Now, there's actually two types of textual criticism. There's higher textual criticism, and there's lower textual criticism. Just for our thinking and as a quick summary, higher textual criticism is bad. That is liberal theology gone amok. Lower textual criticism is very good. That is the science of trying to reconstruct the original manuscript from the thousands and thousands of copies that we have today. We don't, of course, have the original autographs from the gospel writer Mark. We don't have the original autographs from Paul as he's sitting there writing literally with a quill and a piece of leather. We don't have that. So we have copies of and thousands and thousands of copies of that. We are going to get into this deeply when we get to Mark chapter 16, because the entire last half of the book of Mark is part of this dispute. Is that originally part of the New Testament, or was that added by later scribes? The oldest manuscripts do not have that section, and the oldest manuscripts don't have what you're asking about here, that little phrase, and fasting. So presumably, if you take that position, that this is a scribal addition much later than the original autographs, if you take that position, then what happened was some scribe who was kind of trying to make sense of the text, he added in that phrase like and fasting. He thought, man, we've got to really do some muscled up work here in order to get this type of demon out. So it requires prayer, and not just prayer, but fasting too. And he adds that in. Now, that's not good. We of course would say, what in the world were you thinking messing with the original text? But clearly that happens in some manuscripts. And so lower textual criticism is trying to piece that back together. What was the original manuscripts? And the oldest and best manuscripts don't have it. And so some of the translations, like the English Standard Version, just don't include it at all. Now, again, we'll get into this in detail when we get to Mark chapter 16. So that's just a sneak preview as to what's to come.